Here's some oleanders that are coming out. We got to rip these things out of here. Crawl space access. We don't want water to drain. We're going to be doing walkways all the way around this side as well. So we're going to have to slope it away from this crawl space for sure. Then going down here a little bit further, we've got this little enclosed area. It's not really enclosed, but it's kind of protected area, you could say. All right, here's the grading process. I'm on the CTX 100 Vermeer. I've got Doug here with me, my brother. We're going to grade this out, compact it. We're going to glue some expansion foam on both sides. This is wall-to-wall concrete. That expansion foam is nice if you glue it right on your chalk line, because it gives you a good hard grade that's not going to go away, and it's easy to see when you're screeding the concrete. We'll show that going on. I use basically some 3M glue, spray-on adhesive to glue the foam onto the walls. Here's some road base going in. There was a nice big dip in that area, so we had to bring a little bit of base in. That wall that you see on the left, that's in a previous video, and I'll put a link in the description if you want to see the block wall going up around this whole property. We had just enough space to get the tractor around here, even with the block wall in place. So that's why it's ideal just to have a 3-foot wide machine that can do really versatile stuff. Here's Eric the chef doing a little hand grading over here. Those yellow flags are notifying us that there's some buried underground gas lines in that area. So we just don't want to hit those. They're usually about 2 foot deep for the gas line, so we're not going to hit it. If it was put in right, no chance of us hitting it. Even with the block wall, we had a footing on that was 14 inches deep. No worries there, no utilities. Here's some more road base coming in. I couldn't get my tractor past that AC, but I got real close. That string line is just set at grade, where we're gonna do a little planter bed with decorative gravel in there, and that's gonna assist with water drainage. And because the type of block that this is, it's a tongue and groove, it doesn't have the head joints or mortar on the ends of the block, so water drainage can pass right through every individual block, which is kind of nice. Now we're just getting some water on here, getting ready for compaction. So I've got a box out around the pipes around the gas meter. That just allows, if they ever have to work on that or do anything, just makes it easier if they're not encased in concrete. Also, you can see the drainage line on the air conditioner. That could be above concrete and just drain onto the concrete and out to the front, but it's going to leave a stain, you know, over time and water erosion. So I'm going to do a box out around that as well. That way the water can just drain into the ground. Here's Eric the chef running the plate. The dirt got a little bit moist, so he's having a little trouble pushing it through. Here's a form that we're putting in. That's going to represent that gravel bed for drainage purposes. Also, you can see the electrical outlet there on the bottom right that goes into the garage. It was too low, really. Technically, it should have been 6 inches above grade. Now we're working on the foam. You can see I have a chalk line, so that's my elevation. That's where I want to pour the top of concrete to. And just to make sure I never lose that line, I'll glue the foam on there so I can really, when I screed, I can screed to the top of that foam. Also, I can put a nice 1/2-inch radius edge along there. Look real good. There's the box out for that drainage of the AC unit. Getting ready to go in. So you notice the box out around the gas meter, there's no stakes holding those forms in place. Basically, I just did a couple of inside stakes, no nails, just a couple insides to hold it in place temporarily, and I filled the area up with dirt. So as I pour against the 2x4s, I can pull those inside stakes, I can pull those out, and the form will be set in place. Here's Con Rock Ready Mix out of Golden Valley, about 45-minute drive from this location. The concrete mix we're using is a 3,000 PSI. It's got about a 1/2 pound of fiber per yard. We have Julio with Prime Concrete Pumping. He's going to be taking care of the pumping for us. The reason I go 1/2 inch or half pound fiber per yard is because when you're doing a broom, and if you have over a half a pound, I found it starts to kind of ball up on the broom. So with a half pound, you don't really get that effect on the broom, and you still have the advantages of holding it together. In this side yard, I just had a couple pieces of rebar running all the way down. In the bigger areas, I've used wire mesh. My screed tool through here was that Milwaukee Red Stick 4-footer. So it's designed to screed concrete. It's also a level. So if you're in some tight areas with minimal slope, you can check your bubble as you screed out. Here's where I use the wire mesh, right in this area, because we're about, this was about almost, it was about 8 feet wide through here. You can see the background there. We have some stamped terracotta color. That's also in a previous video, and I'll put a link in the description for that as well. Another advantage of having that foam against your block or your concrete surfaces is when you put the concrete in, it's not going to draw out the moisture on the edges. A lot of times what can happen if you pour directly against block or other concrete, the water will get drawn out of those edges quicker. So you have a super hard edge when you go to trowel out. And this way it dries a little more evenly. Here's Kyle. He was on our previous video on a first pour. Today he was out here about 30 minutes early. There's your funny float going on. Here's Doug running a walking joiner. And here's an advantage of having that planter. You can walk along the edge and cut joints. Greg and Donald here. And they got a straight edge. They're going to cut some joints in this area on the way out. We already pre-marked our locations on those, so we know where they're going to go and be evenly spaced through there. 1/2-inch radius hand edger right along the foam. Here's Donald going down this side yard for the first pass by hand. It's going to take 2 passes to get it ready for a broom, but you got to get out there a little early just to get your joints in and get everything edged. So he's using that Milwaukee 4-footer again and as his straight edge to cut the joints in. We have foam on the block wall and on the block for the, that's actually skirting that goes about 2 feet below the house. So you have a crawl space access right there. Here I am on the second pass, and that's probably about 30 minutes after the first laydown, maybe 40 minutes. And I'm running a 4x20 trowel and a 4x12. I've got a hand joiner and a hand edger on me. No hand float at this point. We're past the point of hand floating. In other words, the concrete's too hard to hand float. And if it was laid down properly, you shouldn't need a hand float at this point. And I am brooming it on the way out. This is a tight area to get into. Getting into that corner wasn't easy. So Doug's got the nylon and I've got the horsehair going on, working on my way out. Right here as I was going down, I felt like a dip in the concrete, a low spot and then a high spot. So what I did, I just scraped down the high spot and I threw it into the low area and then worked it in. And it was pretty hard, so I don't know if you've seen that, but I just spit on the concrete there to try to get some kind of moisture to work with. If you get on it a little too early, you could potentially leave, impressions from your knee board sinking if you don't hand float those out well. There's a little drainage area I set up for that air conditioner. So I have 2 size trowels. I have a 20 by 4 and I also have this 12 by 4. All right. That about wraps up the finishing process and brooming. So now we're going to put some curing compound on here. And what that's going to do is prevent the concrete from curing out or drying out too fast. If it dries out too fast, it's going to crack. So what I've done is I put the curing compound on there. Also had the homeowner wet this every hour for the first 3 days. Here's some nice clips of the finished product a couple weeks later. Cured out really nicely. No cracking at all on any of this. Here's a little something that you could see in a previous video, and I'll put this link in the description too, so if you want to see that job getting completed there. Also the block wall in the background, I'll add that link as well. Anyway, that about wraps this one up. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and have a wonderful day.